up, everybody? Welcome back to the studio. With us, we got the collective on deck right now. We're going to go into our topic. We're talking about fear and confidence, but we're going to take you through a passage, one that we studied, one that is way more deep than it appears on surface. And so we're going to take you to Matthew 14, verses 22 to 33. If you grew up in church or if you have a church background, this could seem fairly familiar. I think they make a VeggieTales series over this. I don't know. This is somewhat familiar, but what we want to do is we want to take a little bit of a shallow dive on it and then pull out some of the themes. And so, Destin, would you read Matthew 14, 22 to 33 for us?
I got you. All right, Matthew 14, 22 through 33 says, "Immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowds. And after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone. But the boat by this time was a long way from the land, beaten by the waves, for the wind was against them. And in the fourth watch of the night he came to them walking on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, 'It is a ghost.' But they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, 'Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid.' And Peter answered him, 'Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water.' He said, 'Come.' So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, and he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, 'Lord, save me.' Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him, saying, 'O you of little faith, why did you doubt?' And when he got onto the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshipped him, saying, 'Truly you are the Son of God.'"
Awesome. So when we read a text, what are some of the questions we need to ask?
I guess like obviously we need the context, because context brings clarity. So what do we need to know?
So this is a big passage, but what's even more important, if you look at the stuff, what just happened beforehand, Jesus and the disciples feed the 5,000. Now, this is not just like throwing out crackers and it's not like 30 minutes. This is an all-day affair. And so you think about this. This is one of the biggest public ministries in the Gospels thus far. We're only in chapter 14. We're not there yet, all right? So you got to keep that in mind. Also, think about working an event. Think about hosting a huge banquet. At the end of it, you're exhausted. And so the disciples, not only are they physically exhausted from going back and forth, getting the bread in the fish and passing it out, but like emotionally, spiritually exhausted. So much energy is sapped out of you. And so when you get to this text, you got to understand they're wiped out. They're at a zero. They want to go to sleep. They want to make sure that things are fine. Because again, when you finish a big thing, what do you want to do? You want to get away and you want to kind of take your time. Yeah. And so keep that in mind, because I think that plays into this topic of fear in the story. Also, I think what happens is we learn that they go from 5,000, maybe 10,000 with women and children to just them, the boys, and they're on a boat. And so what we got to know is they have already been rowing out. They're in the middle of the lake, and what happens is a storm hits. So Destin, let's go through the passage real quick. What are some things we notice about the passage itself to set us up for our topic? Because I think that's the key, is make sure we don't ask the questions yet. Let's just find out what's happening in the text. What do we notice?
Okay, so obviously there's a storm, like there's winds and waves that's happening.
So geographically, we got to notice that. All right, so keep that in mind.
And then I do see, like, obviously you see Jesus walking towards them.
Okay. Well, hold on.
Okay.
He doesn't walk there.
Okay, great.
That's not how the story works. I mean, yes, he does walk. We as the readers see that, but it's in the, I guess, camera angle of the disciples.
Yeah.
They're in the middle of the night. It's dark. So paint this.
Okay.
It's dark. There's wind and waves. They're accustomed to the water, but not like this.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they look over the boat and they see a figure.
Yeah.
Do they know it's Jesus?
Based on the text, not really.
No. What? Because what is the first thing they say?
It's a ghost.
It's a ghost, right? And that sets the story up because it's in the middle of the night. They don't know what's happening, and they see something come out and they say to each other, if you look at the text, it says, "It's a ghost!" ! But what do we notice that's funny, like right afterwards? What does the ghost say to the disciples?
Like, it's me.
Well, no, he didn't say it's me.
Don't be afraid. Wait.
Well, no. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, what does the ghost say? He says, "Take heart. It's me. It's I.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid." Which is, I feel like it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
As a ghost?
As a ghost? Because it doesn't identify. Remember, Jesus doesn't identify, "Hey, it's me, Jesus, guys."
Yeah.
He just says, "Take heart. It's I. Don't be afraid," which is the most awkward thing to say.
Yeah.
If I'm like, "Destin, is that you that's opening the door?" Right? You better identify yourself, unless I actually knew your voice. I know who you are, but that's not how the story reads. They're freaking out.
Yeah.
And so what do we find out? Who responds next?
It's Peter.
Okay, so there's multiple disciples. Why is it just Peter that just does this? Have you
I
thought
don't
about
know.
that? Yeah.
I've never thought about that, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I love Peter for it. I think Peter gets a lot of pushback for
He does.
being abrasive and kind of, he speaks first and then acts later, but like, or thinks later, but it's him. And watch what he says. He says, "Lord, if it's you," by the way, he's speaking to the ghost. "Lord, if it's you, command me to come to you on the water." And then what do we find out? What does the ghost say?
He just told him to come over.
Okay, which, by the way, he still has not identified himself.
Yeah.
Peter's
true.
got to trust that this voice is not something in his head. It's not like a trick. And he's like, "Ha, sucker, you're in the water. You're going to die." Right? So like he actually has to, and this is how I want to make sure we read this. Peter doesn't, how do you think Peter jumps out of the boat?
You don't you just get off it?
I know, but how? Like, no, like physically, what do you think he has to do?
He literally has to climb over.
I think that's what happens. He actually has to like throw his body over. I don't think there's a ladder. I think he has to swing his body, and it doesn't seem like he does a dive, but I think he swings over, and then he has to trust his legs to hold him up, which does not make any sense.
Yeah.
Because I think he expects to swim to Jesus, because humans don't typically walk on water.
True.
And so I don't think because I think a lot of the stories have Peter just like jump out of the boat and starts walking to him. I don't think that's what he was expecting.
Yeah.
He says, "Come to me," but I think he has to go, "I'm swimming on."
Yeah.
But when his legs touch the water, something crazy happens.
Yeah.
He starts to go towards him. And then what does the story do?
There's a storm. There's wind.
So the storm's, but here's the thing, the storm's already going though. Right?
Yeah.
And so what happens to Peter? What does he focus on?
The storm.
Which is, I think we have to pause there, because this is what we'll have to talk about later with the fear. The storm has already been there. Jesus has already called him.
Yeah.
The question is, why did Peter all of a sudden start focusing more on the storm that was already there than the voice in which he trusted to come out to?
There was fear.
It had to be.
Yeah.
And it's the fear of the circumstance. It's the fear of the here and now. And I mean, but let's take a step back. I would probably be the same way. Huh?
I agree.
I mean, because one, this is not normal. And oh my gosh, like what's happening? And so what we find out here is Peter starts sinking. And then this is what's key. He says what?
Lord, save me.
And he calls out and he recognizes again, Lord, he says this, "Lord, if it's you." And then he says this the second time. He says, "Lord, save me." And then what we find out in the text is Jesus does not care and lets Peter suffer and drown, and he dies. And that's the end of the story. Nope, that's not it.
I was like, that's not
Jesus,
how it
what does it say?
It's the King James version.
It's the other version, man. It's the Hinestrosa version. Just complete re-edits. No. But like, notice something, right?
Put some respect on my name, brother.
We got you. We'll put you in the credits. All right. So what happens is you find out, and again, Matthew is very careful in doing this. Jesus catches him immediately.
Yeah.
Right? And again, we need to focus on this. It doesn't like Jesus is disappointed at this moment. He catches him. And what does he do? He literally does what Peter asked him to do. He saves him.
Yeah.
And he says, as they walk back, "Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt?" Now, here's the question. What is he talking about? Is he mad? Is he upset? Is he disappointed? Because that's how I read it.
Yeah.
oh, you of little faith. And I'm like, that's when your head goes down.
Mm-hmm.
But is it what we think it is? How do you read this?
I don't know. I'm the same. Like when I read that part, I if I was in Peter's shoes and I'm hearing that, I'd feel guilty. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, you're right. Like I should have trusted you in this moment.
And I think a lot of times that's how we teach this passage. But I want to notice something in this text. Peter is the only one who calls out to this ghost. Peter's the only one who gets out of the boat.
Yeah.
Peter's the only one who gets to walk on this water. And so it's not the lack of faith in Jesus. He goes to Jesus, right? Where's the lack? I think the lack is partly in and of himself. Like, and I think Jesus was challenging him. Hey, like you started really, really well. Why did you give up? The storm was already there before, and it's going to continue.
Yeah.
But that's not where the focus was. You doubted partly yourself. You thought you couldn't do it. And I think this is where we need to transition to some of the takeaways.
Yeah.
Why does fear pop up in our lives? Is it not because we start to follow Christ, and as the wind and the waves of the world start slamming on us, doesn't fear begin because we start keeping our eyes off of what it is? And again, it's not, Jesus is there, but our focus is so much on our self. I mean, do you see that in, kind of our circles and our spheres of influence?
Oh, absolutely.
For us, let's talk, right? Because we work with college young adults. How does this play out? Like, what are some things that college young adults are facing that kind of either diverts our attention and our hopes?
I think a lot of our college and young adults, like for sure, like our college students, they're like dealing with school, right? And to them, like the future is a fear for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of the unknown.
Yeah, of the unknown.
I think part of that also is because it's not just what does the future look like, but a lot of it comes down to how much can I control?
Yeah.
Right? Peter realized he couldn't control a lot of stuff. And I think a lot of times, if you watch Peter's kind of story, that's what he wants. And I think what Jesus is trying to do is to remind Peter, like, you don't have as much control as you think. Isn't that what causes fear in most of us?
Yeah.
We can't control the outcomes. We can't control the weather. We can't control disease or death. And it freaks us out. And we want to start to do this.
Yeah.
And it's hard, right? And I think we work with a lot of people, and we see them step away from collective. We see them step away from church for seasons because what's the story we always hear, Destin? Like, it's just life gets really hard. I need to kind of take care of certain things.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we see here?
Yeah, exactly.
What else are some takeaway principles that we can kind of pull from this lesson?
The Lord is with us no matter in the highs and the lows, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you look at the passage, he was the one who sent the disciples ahead of him, right? And in the middle, but think about this, they're on their own.
Yeah.
And they're getting the rest that they think, except nature showed up in the form of a storm. And so remember, when Jesus walks to them, it's not just that he's showing up, but it's like, hey, I'm also proving to you who I am.
Yeah.
I'm the God who feeds the souls and the needs of the people, but I'm also the God who's in control of the nature.
Yeah.
And remember, he doesn't calm the storm till after they get into the boat. It said the wind and the waves cease immediately.
Yeah.
And the question I'm looking at is, why doesn't Jesus calm the storm as Peter's walking out?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that make more sense? It would make it easy. It'd be easier. But so many times that's how I want my life. God, fix my problems first, then let me trust you. Right?
Sheesh.
Like,
Yeah.
calm the storms so I can see clearly. And what he's doing is he's saying, no, hear my voice. If you're my sheep, you know my voice.
Yeah.
And so trust me, trust my character, trust that I know what I'm doing. So it doesn't matter whether it's a clear sea or the sea is in turmoil.
Yeah.
Trust my voice because that's who you do. And here's the thing, Peter fails here, he's gonna fail again. But what we find out in the book of Acts as we move towards the New Testament is Peter starts to not only hear his voice, but to repeat the voice of his master.
Yeah.
He starts to quote the same things in 1st and 2nd Peter, and he goes to the death like his Savior.
Yeah.
And so when Jesus says, Peter, it's me, come to me, Peter will then at the end of his ministry go, hey, you can trust this guy, and I'm going to prove it with my own death. And Peter goes to the cross as well, just like his master, and says, hey, fear has no more power over us.
Yeah.
Why? Because he looks back at not only this moment, but when he raises from the dead, Jesus goes, don't have to be fearful. In the middle of the storms, hear my voice, and we can do that. All right. So any other concluding questions, thoughts we could probably pull away from this? What are some things that, I mean, even just hopes for our people?
I know one thing, like, as we were reading this passage and even like as we were like talking, is a lot of times we tend to stay stuck in our circumstances for sure. And this is something like I share with even like some of our young adults that I've talked with, is we get so stuck in our circumstances that we forget the Lord, right?
Yeah.
And so in that moment is one thing I do advise is like, one, be in community, Christ-centered community, who will take you out of like that circle of like your vision, if that makes sense. Your vision is so focused on your circumstances, but there are people who will help take you out. But yeah, that's one thing I was thinking about.
Yeah, that's huge. It's Peter going back with his boys. And here's the thing. What kind of story are they going to tell afterwards? Right? Like their emotions are at a 10 at this point.
Yeah.
And they get to share it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Peter was the only one who got to experience walking.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
We think that Peter was the failure at this point. I'm like, no. Peter was the only one who got to experience that special moment with the Lord.
Wow.
And here's the thing. I would want to be a fish in the sea to listen in on what Peter and Jesus was talking about as they were walking back on that boat. Right? Because that would have been a cool conversation. Friends, I hope this was encouraging for you. I hope this fixed your eyes more on Christ, that your confidence is in him. Hear his voice. If you don't hear it, man, then ask.
Yeah.
Ask where you can find it, because his voice is strong and it's lovely and it can take you through the hardest circumstances. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and follow us, subscribe, throw some comments in, watch our other videos. It's been a blessing. See ya.